Blessed to be a part of your day. Kevin Mill in the morning on KIDO Talk Radio. Live from Valley View High School. Well, a couple announcements. Senator Crapo and Senator Risch can't make it today because of the funeral of President Bush. We understand that. And certainly we look forward to talking to them and hearing what they have to say. And we'll continue to examine the life of former President Bush. Coming up, the dog food recall expands. You're going to want to hear about that, which brands are impacted. Of course, we love our four-legged furry family members. We'll get you that information between now and the bottom of the hour. Plus, maybe you're down with football, of course, college football over. The XFL has announced its host cities, so you can tell where the direction of this program is going. Kevin likes dogs and he likes football, so we'll get to that. Joining us now from Valley View is Sydney Johnson, senior here, and news anchor. Ma'am, good to have you with us.
Hi, good morning. Nice to be here.
Nice to be here. Thank you for joining us so early. So tell us a little bit about the past few years at Valley View. How long have you been here? Have you been here 4 years, 3 years, 2 years?
Yeah, so I've been here 4 years since a little freshman, and I've been involved in leadership for 3 years. And I think my third year of being in it, the program kind of changed, and the whole thing, as soon as the school split, we were more gold-blooded, and we kind of found our voice as one school, and so it was really cool to see that. And we've just
so you have to tell us a little bit about the school splitting, because most of us aren't as in tune to Valley View as we should.
So there was a overflux of kids here, and so we split into two schools, and it went to Ridgeview and Valley View, and Valley View just became a better school, sort of.
A better school.
Sense. Yeah.
Right? More focused and such.
Yes.
Mr. Zucker, the principal, you want to jump in here, or are you just you're...
Well, the district was expanding, and so we were fortunate enough to be able to open a new high school. And what we did is we just broke it on boundaries of our middle school lines, and so half our students went over to Ridgeview, half stayed here, and then from there we've kind of grown into two successful high schools. And we as a smaller school, we got a chance to really get to know each other. I mean, we're 1,200 kids. It's still a lot, but it's better than the 2,000 plus we had. Hallways are much easier to navigate nowadays.
Sure. That's great for administrators. What about for you, Sydney?
It's amazing. I get to reach out to more kids in that sense because there's not 2,000 kids that go here, so I get to be on a personal level with tons of different kids.
How have you changed in 4 years? What is the value of your interaction, your education meant to you? I mean, I hate to sound like a parent, but, it's kind of like when you go home and, what'd you do in school today? What'd you learn today?
Yeah.
But that's really our audience. So as a freshman to a senior, how have you changed, ma'am?
I think I've changed quite a bit. So being involved in leadership and just being involved in the school in general has kind of given me a voice that I can continue to grow. And it's just brought me to have a voice and opinions. And
so what are you going to do with that voice and opinions? So you're a news anchor, so I can go a little rapid fire with you, okay?
I'm just continuing to maybe a leadership role in things like as I advance into college and things like that.
So what are you looking to do in college?
I'm looking to go into more of business and the sales kind of industry and that avenue.
And why does that appeal to you?
Well, my dad is all a salesman, and he kind of gave me that avenue to think about because he's been very successful, so I kind of want to see that same success.
Sure. Now, you're involved in leadership here at Valley View. Can you describe that for us?
It's been amazing.
You're the president.
Yeah, I'm the ASB activities coordinator.
Okay, well, I keep wanting to give you that promotion.
I know.
That's important.
I was the president.
Okay.
But I chose the activities coordinator because I get to be more involved and I get to lead pep assemblies and kind of be that voice of the school. So I kind of chose that instead of to run for the presidency.
What do people misunderstand about kids today?
I think just how strong they really are. They tend to be timid and scared not to say anything, but I think they underestimate what they have to say in a sense.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Indeed. Mr. Zucker, when you take a look at the type of student that you're producing here, and you hear what Sydney said, the changes she's gone through, you're an old hand at this. What do you think?
Well, Sid and I started here at Valley View together, and I've watched just her as an example since we have her on the spot. Watch her grow into a very intelligent and, as you can tell, articulate young lady who does do a lot for the campus. We have a lot of students who we're really trying to help find their voice and be able to articulate, their beliefs in a way that comes with support and data and isn't just something they read off a social media clip. And we really enjoy watching our students grow from that, kind of squirrely freshman to mature over time and become these seniors who are really impressive and that we get to send out into the world and represent themselves, their family, their school, and what we're doing here.
Your best moment. Do you have one yet?
Oh, goodness. Oh, I don't think I have. I have too many to even think about. Come
on, soccer.
Soccer. I'm a part of the varsity soccer team, and last year we actually made it to the state tournament, and we placed third, and we were predicted not to do very well. And just as a team, it was really cool to be a part of that team because we came together when we needed to.
Sure.
And it was really cool to win a trophy and bring it home.
Indeed. Anything else you'd like to share with us?
I don't think so.
No?
Anything you got for me?
Wow. No, if I had something for you, I wouldn't ask you the closing question. See. But thank you, Sydney. We appreciate you. Now you're involved in this news media thing.
Yes.
How educational is that? I mean, you're just talking to a camera. What have you learned doing that?
I think it's definitely learned. Oh goodness, sorry. I'm
See, now
stumbling.
Hang out with me, and you're going to stumble.
Yeah.
Don't worry
Put me
about
on the spot.
Don't worry about being smooth, but please go ahead.
But I think that program, being involved in that, has further given me a voice and being comfortable in front of talking to the whole school. It's given me a way to kind of connect more with the students as well and things like that.
Sure.
So, yeah.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you for having me.
Oh, yeah, we'll have you back. Mr. Zucker, anything else you'd like to say?
No, I just appreciate students like Sid. She makes it a fun place to come to. Her antics on our news feed is quite entertaining, and again, just brings that humanity and that fun component to school. These kids by law have to be here,
right?
But we want to make it a place they want to be.
Exactly.
So Sid helps in that,
and to realize the value of what they're getting.
Yep.
Cool. Thank you both. Appreciate it.
Thank you again.
Kevin Miller in the morning here. Phone number is 580-5436, 580-KIDO from Valley View High School. Now, Senator Crapo was supposed to join us, but because of the funeral of President Bush, he's had to reschedule along with Senator Risch, and we wish them well. Of course, we'll continue to cover this. Now, there's a massive amount of recall going on for dog foods. Let's get the very latest and find out if your brand is impacted on KIDO Talk Radio.
The Food and Drug Administration warning pet owners and veterinary professionals that they've gotten several complaints about dog foods overloaded with vitamin D. High amounts of the vitamin can cause kidney failure or even death. New to the list of recalled foods, Nature's Promise and Nature's Place chicken and brown rice dog foods, Elm Pet Foods, Abound chicken and brown rice dog food, Orlando grain-free chicken and chickpea dog food, A&F lamb and rice dry dog food. Earlier recalls included foods from Sunshine Mills, Natural Life, and Nutrisca. Jill Nato, Fox News.
Thank you, Jill. And we'll share that with you again just so you can pay attention to that. Sometimes we don't get things on the first hand, and I can tell you about that. So we will get that for you coming up again. Now, a story that you can look at exclusively. Well, not really exclusively. You notice everybody in the media always goes exclusively. Well, it's not exclusive, but it's a story we kind of mentioned yesterday. It has to do with Oregon. Now, I know we're a lot closer to Oregon than we usually are at the cozy confines of the broadcast center, right? We're a little deeper into the state of Idaho. But here we are, and Chandler, our field producer, will correct me if I'm wrong. We're very near the tripwire of the Oregon-Idaho border. The folks in Ontario, the folks in Central Oregon, they understand this. They're rooting for us to come in and annex Oregon. as part of Idaho. And if this is not a reason to annex Oregon, to save Oregon from itself, I don't know what is. Now, have you heard of mushrooms? Well, for those of you that have a physique like mine, or you like food, mushrooms. You put them on your steak, you put them on your salad, you put them on your burgers. Is there anything better than a mushroom burger? Well, maybe there is. But you've heard of, and again, I maybe live in a cul-de-sac bubble, but the magic mushrooms. You heard of the magic mushrooms? Chandler, you've heard of the magic mushrooms. Okay, so fair enough. So the magic mushrooms, the shrooms, as they're called, and apparently, now I only thought this was in movies, but again, I live in a very sheltered world. So magic mushrooms that can contain some type of drug that can help you, get high, right? Well, apparently, the state of Oregon, the Attorney General in the state of Oregon, has given permission to put a ballot initiative. So they've got to go out and get signatures, almost 120,000 signatures. If they get that, then the people in Oregon can vote to legalize the shrooms. Now, that means that if you're busted with the shrooms, growing the shrooms, distributing the shrooms, you're not going to get arrested. The story is available at KIDOTalkRadio.com, and I got it from multiple sources: Newsweek, The Oregonian, Oregon Public Radio, Channel 7. Now, this was not the first attempt of a state to legalize the mushrooms, right? That you're giving me the research here, Chandler, the psychedelic, something of that nature. The psychedelic mushrooms, whose principal active components are, I can't pronounce these words, so we're just going to leave it at that. But it's known as shrooms, golden tops, cubes, gold caps, magic mushrooms. Anyway, thank you, Chandler, could all be legalized in Oregon. Now, first the marijuana, now the mushrooms. California tried this, and it failed. Another reason why we should take a look at annexing and saving Oregon from itself. If Portlandia wants to be Portlandia, so be it, and they can have the coast. But for the good people in Ontario, the good people in Central Oregon, we hear you, brothers and sisters. So at 580-5436, 580-KIDO, and people say that this whole thing is guaranteed to cure everything from suicide, depression, PTSD, pain, suffering, everything else. Do you think they're going to get 120,000 people to do this? Now, again, just because somebody votes on it, that doesn't mean it's legal, does it? Let's talk about it next. Kevin Miller, KIDO Talk Radio. And blessed to be with you. Phone number is 580-5436, 580-KIDO. So this crazy story out of Oregon, they're looking to legalize mushrooms. That's right, the psychedelic mushrooms. And I'm thinking to myself, really, what's next? And we'll open that debate up at 580-5436, 580-KIDO. Now, if you're a big fan of the football and you're getting depressed because college is over, don't worry. You've got two leagues coming up. One will be, the American Football Alliance, I think, and the other is the XFL. Today, the XFL announced its host cities. Here's our own Matt Napolitano with the latest on KIDO Talk Radio.
This afternoon, the 8 host cities and venues that the XFL's teams will play in will be announced in a press conference. Now, there have been some leaks and rumors as to where some of these teams will be playing their games. Among the cities of note, St. Louis, who recently lost their NFL franchise with the Rams returning to Los Angeles. L.A. and New York among the believed locations as well. The XFL is set to launch the rebooted league in 2020. Each team will have a 10-week schedule, and the playoffs will have 4 teams, and there will be 40 players to each team's active roster. Matt Napolitano, Fox News.
So there we have it. Here I thought they had announced it, but we are waiting for that big announcement. And, it's kind of something to do in the wintry months if you don't want to go to Bogus Basin or Brundage or Tamarack or what have you. You just want to hang out and you have something to do. We'll see whether or not that takes off. We are talking about mushrooms and the further efforts to legalize illegal drugs. We'll get your thoughts on that at 580-5436. 580-KIDO, but in Wisconsin, the debate over medical marijuana gets down to the local level. In one Wisconsin city, here's our own Tanya J. Powers with the very latest.
More than 30 states have made medical marijuana legal, but in others, where it's still illegal, individual cities are taking matters into their own hands. Appleton, Wisconsin is one of them. The city's Common Council is set to take up a resolution today and has already been passed by the Appleton Board of Health. If approved, the non-binding measure would basically send a message of the city's support for state legislation, legalizing cannabis for medicinal purposes and removing it from the list of Schedule I substances. Several Wisconsin counties held referendums on this during the midterms, and they drew strong support. Tanya J. Powers, Fox News.
Kevin Miller in the morning here, traffic and weather together. Let's get you to work safely and on time. It would be enforced again and again and again, and I don't really understand it. And I don't know if there's a federal law on the books when it comes to the magic mushrooms, like Oregon. I don't know if there is something that can be done about the folks that are just passing these referendums. And it really comes back to former President Obama, who decided that he was going to just not enforce federal laws. Now, you can talk about state laws and the 10th Amendment and everything else, but really what it comes down to is the supremacy clause within the federal government that the feds have the final say. And we've seen that play out again and again and again throughout American history. What is fascinating to me is that you have this city in Wisconsin. They're going to do their own thing. You have this city you have the state of Oregon with the psychedelic mushrooms. I mean, do you want anybody high on the mushrooms? And, you have people saying, well, they're going to be high on the weed. What about the mushrooms? Well, quite frankly, I'm thinking about this. We have enough challenges when it comes to alcohol. Why in the world would we want to enhance that challenge? Why in the world would we want to do this based on maybe a report, maybe on speculation? Now, we can go back and forth on medical marijuana. The challenge with that is that if you introduce medical, then everybody doctor shops, and it leads to the eventual legalization. Good intentions, and you know what road that leads to. That's one topic. The other topic that we're taking a look at, remembering President Bush, and we really have been covering this all week, when you think about what a great president he was, what the promise was, what the turnout was, and how the media has decided to, canonize President Bush. Of course, just like John McCain, they didn't do that when he was alive, and our own Sean Hannity points that out. Well, maybe our own Sean Hannity won't point that out. Coming up, we'll have Sean Hannity point out the hypocrisy. Lots to talk about. We're here at Valley View High School in Caldwell, but I do want to tell you, let me go over this dog recall one more time.
The Food and Drug Administration warning pet owners and veterinary professionals that they've gotten several complaints about dog foods overloaded with vitamin D. High amounts of the vitamin can cause kidney failure or even death. New to the list of recalled foods, Nature's Promise and Nature's Place chicken and brown rice dog foods, Elm Pet Foods, Abound chicken and brown rice dog food, Orlando Grain-Free chicken and chickpea dog food, A&F lamb and rice dry dog food. Earlier recalls included foods from Sunshine Mills, Natural Life, and Nutrisca. Jill Nato, Fox News.
So again, make sure you check out that list to make sure that the dog food you get is not on that recall list. Phone number is coming up, 580-5436, 580-KIDO. Thanks to Cap-Ed Credit Union. Team Mazda Subaru, we're at Valley View High School. Let's find out what's happening in your world. Good morning, Maggie.
Good morning, Kevin.
And blessed to be with you. Jeff Fleshman joining us, volleyball coach. He teaches cabinetry and millwork here at Valley View. Jeff, thank you for joining us.
Oh, thank you for having me.
We'll have you a little closer to the mic there so everybody can hear you. We hear so much about the trades, and we never teach the trades anymore. So tell us a little bit about what you teach here and the real skills for the real people.
Well, we've got a cabinetry program that we've been developing to teach kids and get them prepared to get into the cabinetry industry, and the industry has been super supportive. So we've had a couple of different businesses who have donated to our program. So Franklin Building Supply donated a CNC mill for us. That's worth about $26,000. That's an incredible donation.
Could you describe that for us?
It's a
for those of
punch
us that wouldn't
machine.
know a mill from a fill.
So it's a computer numeric controlled router. So you cut your cabinet parts, you put them on the machine, and then the computer tells the router where to go in and make the final cuts, and machines out all of your dados and all of your adjustable shelf holes. And so that's what's really used in industry. And that's the nice thing is that, because of what industry is doing to help us get the machinery we need, we couldn't afford that machinery on our own. But that's what kids need to be trained on. They need to be able to work with the same machines that they're using in industry. And so Franklin Building Supply had bought a new machine, and they donated their old machine to us. They not only donated it to us, they shipped it to us. They sent their technicians out to help us get it set up. So they're still working on getting it completely set up, and then they'll come out with their technicians and train us so that we know how to teach the kids to run it, those kinds of things. So it's really great support from their part.
What a wonderful local business to do that, Franklin Building Supply.
Yeah, another one that's been working with us is Bledsoe's Cabinetry. They're only about 5 miles from the school here, and they donated about $3,000 in materials, and then they just recently donated a box clamp to us. So again, another big piece of equipment that we couldn't afford to get on our own, but they've given to us, and they've got their guys. We're setting up an internship over there with them, and so they're going to train our guys as we send out seniors to go to work for them. They'll go over and do an internship. It's a great opportunity for kids to work in industry and see how it's done for real over there in industry. And so it's really been great.
Well, tell us a little bit about your students, their likes, their skills, because we hear all the time that the trades are just going away, people working with their hands being replaced by people working with the keyboards.
Well, the truth is that the trade, in the cabinetry, it's got technology that's been integrated into the systems now, too. And so they do have to keep working with them, but you still work with your hands. And so my students are coming in, and their first year they build a nightstand, and it's more traditional woodworking where they're working with table saws and routers and those kinds of traditional tools. The advanced kids will be the ones who'll start to work with producing stuff for the district. So we've had contracts with our district in the last couple of years as they've built new schools. They've hired us to build, like we built the teacher desks at the new high school over at Ridgeview. And then we built some tables for the Skyway School. And so they contacted us as a program to build those. And then they spend the money, they pay us to build them, and then that money turns around and helps us buy new equipment. And so my students have been able to do some real work experience doing that. The beginning students make a nightstand. And our biggest concern with the beginning students is teaching them how to run the tools so that they can safely run a table saw when they get home. So we have a saw stop here, so if a kid sticks his finger in the saw, he's not going to lose it. It's going to go away because it's got that kind of safety protection.
Right, that's the biggest concern that everybody seems to have when it comes to the old shop classes.
Right. And so, if he accidentally puts his hand in that blade, the blade's going to disappear. He's not going to lose a finger. But we're trying to teach them so that when they get home on their dad's saw, which is not that one,
sure,
they know how to safely run that tool. And so in the beginning class, it's all about safety and learning how to safely run the tools and get an idea of how things start to go together in cabinetry.
So what about the millwork? What is that?
So millwork is where you machine and cut your parts. That's what milling means.
Like a machinist?
Well, that's what the CNC mill would do, but yeah, it's kind of like a machinist, but every time you cut a part on a machine, we would call that milling. And so you would mill parts for your cabinet. You cut out dados, you cut out rabbets, you cut out different joints. And so the kids learn how to make a lot of different joints in our classroom, learn to use different tools to accomplish things. There's more than one way to make a different joint, and so we try to teach them a couple different ways so they learn how to do that.
Sure, and that's right here at Valley View.
Yep.
And what can they do when they graduate with those skills?
Well, they can go right into cabinetry. The industry is very concerned because there's not enough people that are trained that can come in and know what they're doing. So they're having to train people all the time. There's a lot of turnover. But one of the problems that we have in all of the trades right now is that they're not being sold. People are not realizing that there's good careers in the trades. They kind of think of it as, oh, yeah, well, if you can't do anything else, you can be a ditch digger. But there's great careers and there's good career money in cabinetry and other trades where people can make not just a job, but a living. They can support their family.
Well, I can tell you, Dan Long, who used to own A1 Plumbing, will tell you you can make a lucrative career on that. Dave Petzo has a lot of people that have been in the trades or own their own businesses in the trades, and those folks do very, very well. But you got to work.
Yeah, it's all about work, and that's what we try to tell our kids. We've had several different companies come in to talk to our kids and talk to them about what is it going to take to be successful in this industry. It's not just about showing up every day. It's not a production type job. You've got to be able to think. You've got to be able to figure out what problems there are and be able to understand, hey, what a customer's going to want. And so kids got to learn how are you going to succeed in this business. It's for a lot of people who are just starting out in the trades, a lot of the trades are struggling just to find people who will show up on time.
Well, and we take a look at how it impacts us throughout the Treasure Valley. We have so many people building, whether it's additions, whether it's homes, whether it's a shed, whatever, and they can't get these contractors in.
Yeah, they're busy. I was doing cabinetry a few years ago on the side, and I was installing cabinets. I had 2 contractors come and say, can you give me a bid? They couldn't even get people to come give a bid. And that's how busy the industry and the trades are.
Right.
There's tons and tons of work out there for people who are willing to work. And so these kids can come out of high school. And one of the things I really like about the trades is, you can go to college, and I'm not against college. I went to college, right?
Sure.
But you can come out of high school, go to work, and they will pay you to train you to make more money.
Right.
As opposed to getting a whole bunch of student loans and you end school and then you got to go into a career and still pay back all these student loans. These kids can come out, start out making $14 an hour in a cabinetry shop while they get trained, work their way up, and then they can be making, $60,000 to $100,000 a year.
Sure.
As they get good at what they do.
Now, do today's kids want to work, though?
It depends on the kids, obviously, but yeah, we have kids that want to work. And we've got some good kids that are doing some really great things. We also have those kids that need some motivation.
Hold on, I can relate to that, yes.
So,
some of us are still those kids.
Yeah, well, I mean, there's a balance all the time with kids, but a lot of times it is about the right motivation for helping them to see, hey, wait, this is worth doing. You
Right.
can do something, you can accomplish something, and it's valuable. You can really make a living doing this, and so kids who enjoy doing it, those are the ones that we're going to get out in our internship program. They're going to get a chance to see what it's like working with these companies.
I think there's a perception, and maybe it's been perpetrated by the universities. And look, college on one hand, it's a great experience. But, Jeff, if you take what you learned in college and what you've learned in life, I think I know I would take what I've learned in life. But it's this perception that you have to have this thing on the wall that you pay a lot of money for, that might get you into something, might not, as opposed to people that go out and show up every day, put their chin straps on, and go. I don't know how we ever get past that and reaching the kids. Look, it's great to go to college and do the trades, get some business background so you can do the accounting. But if not, you can kill it and be rolling by the time you're 24, 25.
Yeah, and a big part of that too is helping the kids to understand. You talked about, are they willing to work, and,
Sure.
and what are they trying to do? But kids have to get the realization that, hey, if you'll put in the work, you can accomplish things. There's opportunities there. I always tell my own kids, hey, look, you need to open as many windows as you can. You don't know exactly what's going to be coming and what's there, but the more you learn, whether it's math, science, or the trades, the more opportunities you have to make choices. If you don't take the time to learn everything you can, your choices are now limited. You don't get to choose.
No, someone else chooses for you. Jeff, finally, let's get back to this program here at Valley View that you train these kids, and then all of a sudden they're doing real work for the district.
Yep.
That's amazing.
Yeah, it's really fun. And the kids, they get a little bit more excited about the work they're doing for the district. If they build something for themselves, of course, they have to pay for the materials. That's all they have to pay for. But materials are expensive.
Sure.
And so when they build for the district, they know that, hey, this is going to go into a school someplace. And they've been excited about the stuff we've built.
And the district saves money.
Yeah, well, the district, they save money, so we're cheaper a lot of times for the stuff we build. But what they really get is to double spend their money. So basically, they're paying us to build it,
right?
And then we turn around and use that money again to buy equipment. And so we're able to buy new equipment and build up our program.
One more time for those two businesses that have helped you out.
Well, Franklin Building Supply is the one that gave us the CNC mill, and then Bledsoe's Cabinetry, and they're the ones that are doing our internship program for us because they're so close.
Sure.
But Franklin's also willing to do an internship with us. It's just they're over in Boise. It's a little harder for our kids to get there.
I understand. Well, Jeff, thank you. And you guys print T-shirts here, too.
Yeah, that's a little side thing.
This is nice.
They're a sublimation dry fit shirts, and so we do those here in the school for different programs and stuff like that.
Well, thank you.
You're
Appreciate
welcome.
you, Jeff.
Thank
Take
you.
care. Have a great day, sir. Kevin Miller in the morning here from Valley View. Thanks to CapEd Credit Union and Team Mazda Subaru. Phone numbers 580-5436, 580-KIDO. And we have, I believe, Andrea on my Kevin Miller Facebook show page basically saying, Kevin, when it comes to mushrooms, who are you to say anything? You're not a doctor. Well, if you're just tuning in, Oregon is looking at legalizing magic mushrooms, which is one thing we're talking about, at 580-5436, 580-KIDO. Let's go to Liberal Steve, who joins us now on KIDO Talk Radio. Good morning, Liberal Steve.
Buenos dias, Idaho. Come and get your love, come and get your love, come and get your love, Idaho.
Hi, Kevin. You don't remember me. My name's Erilyn.
Well, you sound a lot bigger than you did the last time I met you.
Yeah, remember when you had her in the studio?
Yep.
Yeah, her and I are on our way back from Portland, Idaho right now, not far from the great Gem State. But, yeah, I think I want to comment on Appleton. I think that it's a good idea to let the cities handle things rather than even the states or the feds. Take a lot of burden off jails and police and all that and set aside money for those that can't handle stuff like that for rehab and get them back off and get them down in whatever. Right.
Well,
now,
for people just tuning in, Appleton, Wisconsin is looking at passing medical marijuana, which, you know, goes into a topic that you and I discussed quite a bit, along with others. What do you make of your brothers and sisters in Portland wanting to legalize the mushrooms?
Well, I think that's okay as long as it's extremely well controlled, because most of your psychotropic drugs and everything are made from what they've learned from mushrooms. There's very good scientist, Pete Damant, S-T-A-M-E-N-T, who also does vitamin-type things with mushroom mixes and everything. But, yeah, as far as hallucinogenic-type mushrooms, they do help the brain with a lot of people. Get them back on track and get them focused.
Well, if that's the case, why haven't they been legalized before? Why are we tearing down all the walls here?
Because I think people might be a little bit in fear of changes in reality, but that's how we expand. That's how we create. That's how we move forward. That's how we become progressive. We stay the same old, same old. What good is that?
Really?
Really?
Right. Let's just get rid of everything.
Oh, Miller, it's like Tommy that comes on all the time. He doesn't want a new world order. He wants to keep the old world order, or even worse. I mean, come on. We'll live in Saudi Arabia on our old world order, you know. We'll live in Yemen, or go live in one of those countries, or North Korea. This is America. This is the land of expanding minds and dimensions, and we create everything that goes into outer space. And Einstein was way ahead of all of us. And by the way, Einstein did chew a few mushrooms. A lot of people don't know that. Anyway, Miller, I got to keep my eyes on the road. You stay fired up, and Erilyn, say bye to Kevy.
Bye, Kevy.
We love you.
We love you too. Take care. Be safe. Phone numbers, Liberal Steve and his granddaughter. As we move along, boy, she's gotten big from the last time I saw her. Phone numbers 580-5436, 580-KIDO. Coming up next, Sean Hannity takes on the press with their coverage of former President Bush, his death, his life, his legacy. When people talk about civility, the press weren't really that civil to him or his son, number one. Number two, your thoughts on medical magic mushrooms. Oregon wants to legalize. Do you think that would work here? Kevin Miller, KIDO Talk Radio.
He's known as a foreign policy president, but he was a great domestic policy president. He passed more significant legislation than any president except Lyndon Johnson or Franklin Roosevelt. The Clean Air Bill, the Americans with Disabilities Act, the Civil Rights Bill.
He devoted his life to this country, and if there's a message that his service, I think, conveys, it's really that the World War II generation is the greatest generation our country has had.
I got a call from him right after the Democrat convention, and then there was 3 weeks of vetting before the Republican convention when it was announced. But he did call and say, I'd like to consider you for vice president. And I said, well, it's a great honor. I said, obviously I want to talk to Maryland and our children, and I'll get back to you tomorrow. He said, no problem, just call me back tomorrow.
I think the president really figured out that it was about what direction the country was going to go in. And he really struck a chord by being very conservative on taxes, conservative on national security, conservative on crime.
There we have it, people remembering former President Bush. God rest his soul. Let's go to Terry in Cuna with Kevin Miller on KIDO Talk Radio. Terry, good morning.
Good morning, Kevin. I couldn't help but think about the old adage I used to tell people when they come up with crazy ideas. I said, are you smoking dope to think that mushrooms are the way to go? I mean, how many people are affected by drunk drivers every year in injuries and death? Now, we want to add, they've already added marijuana in some states, and now we're talking about adding psychedelic mushrooms. I mean, where do these people come off thinking that, oh, everybody's going to be, real good citizens and stay at home and never go anywhere, never get in their car after they get blitzed on this stuff? It's pretty pathetic. And I also want to make a comment about the schools. When I was in school, we had wood shop, metal shop, electric shop. We had what we called crafts, where we made all kinds of things out of wood, plastic. And I had 6 years of that, junior high and high school. And our metal shop at high school had 5 lathes, 1 mill, arc welder, settling welders, and we made all kinds of stuff and learned how to use a lathe and a mill. And then our auto shop was second to none. We had, we had like 6 or 7 engines mounted on stands, and the teacher would go out there and he'd mess up the valves or the timing or the carburetor or something like that. And we had to, of course, diagnose it, fix it, and get it right. And today's schools, kids, I think that what they're doing at that high school is great. I wish they could do it for more, like, say, metal shop. We even, check this, Kevin, we even had a print shop that printed the school newspaper.
I remember,
kids learned,
Mm-hmm.
They learned how to do that, set type, the whole thing. And, it was a whole different, I guess the right word is a whole different society where we didn't, we pushed good grades and get a good education, but there was also those trades and all the high schools. Of course, I came from L.A., unfortunately, on one side of the coin. I finally moved out of communist California. But I think it's great what that high school's doing. I just wish more of them could do that.
Well, and that's why we're out here, Terry. We appreciate it, and you're right. Kids and teachers need to get back to that, and the idea that they can learn a skill, a marketable skill, is what school is all about.
Yeah, and I think that's sorely lacking in today's schools. And another thing, I know you can't really, in some regards, teach it, but one thing this country is sorely lacking is common sense. And I wish there was a course you could take to teach that, because, brother, this country needs it. That's, they're so enamored with, they think that, we'll just spend money and sit around and talk at discussion groups, and that's going to solve all the problems of society. Well, it's not. And you take common sense out of the equation, and you're just a bunch of babbling idiots. I don't know how else to say it. So, anyway, I just wanted to throw my 2 cents worth in there, and I enjoy your show. and keep up the good work.
Terry, we enjoy you. Thank you. You have a great day, sir.
You too, and Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas.